Welcome to the Geekverse. I'm Heath. If you're enjoying the videos, please like, subscribe, and consider joining us for the Morning Grind live streams each day. Together, we can be a very positive and constructive force in the Geekverse. Now let's get to it. Some people have asked me if I've had any type of response or follow-up to the Kyle Brink interviews. And I've been thinking about that. You know, I didn't want to say anything until I had watched a bunch of the different interviews that have come out, because I wanted to know if there was any type of clarification or new information that comes out. But it seems like we didn't get that. It seems like all of the interviews were recorded at about the same time, so I found that a lot of the interviews contained about the same kind of information. I personally thought that there were a lot of core issues that were not addressed. I thought that a lot of his answers were some basic PR stuff that really needed to be dug into deeper than kind of the answers that he gave, because at times I also thought that his answers were a bit evasive. So I think there are counterpoints and rebuttals and additional clarifications that are needed on some of the material that he spoke about. A lot of the material that he spoke about, actually. I did take about 3 pages of notes as I was going through and listening to what he had to say, because we talked about the OGL situation, you know, quite extensively here, and got into it with Bob Tarantino, the entertainment attorney, and Ryan Dancy and all of that. And so there were certainly questions that I had, and probably a lot of questions that many of the viewers of this channel would also have based on the analysis that we've done, and that I would love to be able to talk to him about. So, Kyle, I would love to have you on Table Talk. I've got a lot of questions for you, but I would absolutely love to have you. You know, Table Talk is where I go one-on-one with somebody who is a mover and a shaker in the tabletop or otherwise, tabletop community or otherwise in the Geekverse, and I would absolutely love to have you on in order to continue this discussion if you think such thing is valuable, because I do. I think it would be valuable, and also I think that if you were to address some of these questions that I have, it would also generate a lot of goodwill in the community. So I'm leaving that out there. I still maintain that offer. When engaged in this dialogue, I hope that everyone will remember these 3 rules that I've got for the Ravenkeep Discord server, which I think are good rules, and I certainly want to apply not only in the Discord server, but to other people as well outside, as we're trying to have discourse and dialogue here on the internet. Number 6 is assume a mistake or miscommunication before malice. Now, I say this is predominantly a text-based discussion platform, and nuance can often be lost in text communication because this is about Discord, but I think this needs to be generalized to internet discussion in general. Therefore, we will assume misunderstanding or ignorance before malicious intent of any member of the community, and I think that's a good rule. So if you don't have some reason to assume that somebody is malicious, then let's not assume that. In any case, let's not assume that. Let's assume there is a mistake, miscommunication, or otherwise some kind of misunderstanding that we may not have all of the information to, and we just need to clear that up. So the 48-hour rule is rule number 7, and this is the rule that I invoked when I was seeing that there were a lot of people who had a very negative opinion of Kyle and were saying some rather hateful things about him and attributing opinions to him that he very well may not hold. And the 48-hour rule is if someone says or does something that could be interpreted in a potentially negative, hateful, or harmful way, we will give them 48 hours to provide additional clarification. Sometimes things come off differently than intended. So I think that's good, giving people a chunk of time. If you say something, or something goes someplace live, and then, oh my God, people have misinterpreted this, they've misunderstood this, or I did phrase something badly, or I said something in a very bad way that intended to imply something, that should be some kind of window that people can make a clarification. Now, I do want to make my own clarification regarding the 48-hour rule. The 48-hour rule is not an ultimatum, right? Now, he did not have to come and speak to me. I would totally have taken any type of clarification on any of these 3 pages worth of notes that I had taken on the interview, speaking to someone else, because of course, he doesn't have to come and talk to me. He can talk to anybody, and also he can talk to no one. No one has to say anything. No one is required to make any type of response or clarification or reply to something, even if somebody's demanding it of them on the internet or something like that. So also choosing not to speak is also completely valid. And also, the 48 rule is not an ultimatum saying that, well, if somebody doesn't clarify within 48 hours, you can assume the worst about them. I do not believe that at all, because even after 48 hours pass, well, what do? My preference is to assume mistake or miscommunication before malice. And then number 8 is we accept sincere apologies. We all make mistakes or sometimes say or do the wrong things. Inevitably, that will happen here too. But when that happens and a sincere apology is offered, we will accept that and the person is welcome back into the community. So I think rule number 6, 7, 8 are ones that I want to make sure that we are applying, not only in the Discord server and the Ravenkeep community, but in general across the internet as we engage in discourse across on a variety of different topics. Now, there is one point of clarification that I would like to make regarding the Dungeons & Dragons movie, as I was talking about that in a video, I don't know, a week or a week and a half ago. I wish I had said that I didn't think that it was appropriate to boycott the movie. I meant to say that in the video, but I forgot, and I did write that down in the comments in some people's responses. Because if you're going to make some kind of demand, like saying that we are insisting that Wizards of the Coast recognizes the legal status of 1.0a and does not try to deauthorize it or anything like that, and if they don't, then what we're going to do is we're not going to go see this movie, we're going to boycott this movie. Well, if they decide to withdraw and leave 1.0a as it is, and then also place the 5.1 SRD in the Creative Commons, well, then it doesn't make sense to just not, to call for a boycott for the movie or something like that. So I had reverted my position back to, well, I would go and see it if I thought it would be good, but my position prior to the OGL situation was, it didn't really look all that great a movie to me. I mean, maybe it is. I hope it will be a fantastic movie for the reasons that I outlined there, but, it just didn't really look like the kind of movie I would be interested in going and seeing anyway, so it wasn't really something on my watch list. But now, especially because I didn't really feel like the answers that Kyle gave in these interviews really addressed the core issues to me and probably to a lot of people who have been following this channel and our level of analysis of the situation, because I didn't really think his answers were all that great. It's just very easy to be done with Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons & Dragons. I personally haven't bought Dungeons & Dragons brand Wizards of the Coast materials in a long time anyway, and I'm the most casual Magic the Gathering player you can be. Sometimes I buy some cards for my nephews and we play, but I'm just not really feeling the need to do anything with official Dungeons & Dragons brand or Wizards of the Coast materials as it stands, right? So that's kind of my opinion on this. We cover a bunch of other things on this channel anyway. I mean, we just had the 100th episode of The Morning Grind this morning, and basically on The Morning Grind, lately, I want to talk about a variety of stuff, but lately we've been going over a different RPG system basically every day. We probably covered have we covered 70 or 80 different systems or something like that? Some days, some systems have had multiple days. So it's not a one-to-one, but I mean, it's a lot of systems. So there is so much stuff out there. It seems like it's very easy to just go on with tabletop gaming, go on with science fiction and fantasy and the Geekverse and all of that, without Wizards of the Coast and the official Dungeons & Dragons brand. So as I said, I hadn't bought a whole lot of it anyway in the past, but I don't anticipate buying a bunch of it in the future or any of it in the future as things stand right now. And we'll be covering other things and other publishers and other things that are out there in the Geekverse on this channel going forward as well. So just to close out, Kyle, I would love to have you on the show. You are welcome to come on. I have a lot of questions for you and things to talk to you about. And who knows, maybe you can change my mind. Maybe you could bring me back into the Dungeons & Dragons brand fold and other people as well. So I think that's basically where we've ended up. I mean, I guess I could do a bunch of videos going through my 3 pages of notes here about what I don't think was adequately answered during the interviews, but I don't really feel the need to do that. I think that if Kyle is willing to come on the show, then we can address a lot of these questions and we can talk to him and then we can handle them there. But otherwise, I mean, it just seems like this is where we've ended up and okay, then we move on. So what do you think? Do you think there is more that needs to be discussed, analyzed, studied, questioned, whatever it is? If so, please do put them down in the comments, but let's just be constructive and let's be courteous, and because this whole channel, the whole idea of the Geekverse here is to be a positive and constructive place in the Geekverse, and so we don't dwell on things that we don't like here. So if we don't like it, well, it's like I said, it's very easy. It's very easy to just leave Wizards and Dungeons & Dragons and then go on and be constructive and do more stuff going forward.